Hi everyone. So why is it moving so much? Alright, as you can see, I made it to Kesan. Really happy. I'm in Turkey, my last country. It just feels like it's moving a whole lot. Anyway. So yeah, yesterday was a really long day, and even longer because of a mistake of mine, but I'll tell you that a little bit later. So yeah, I started really early because I wanted to wake up before everybody else so that nobody would tell me off for camping. So at 6:30 I was on the road and I was going, which was nice in that like I got to see the sunrise, which on my whole trip so far never seen the sunrise except for yesterday. And since I was heading east, I had it like right in front of me, so I got to really enjoy it. And yesterday was quite a nice day too. So yeah, it was quite spectacular. I had a really nice sunrise and sunset. Wait, did I say sunset or sunrise? Anyways, it was a sunrise. So yeah, seeing the sunrise was good, but yeah, I started at 6:30 yesterday. And I'll tell you about the time I finished after. No, the beginning was a big road, which I was used to. And then it veered off into a dirt road, like one of those with like smaller rocks. And so I was not super thrilled about that. I looked around, like, is there any other way? Like, just keep on the big road, and really there wasn't. So I just bit the bullet and went, and I'm glad I did because it was actually quite beautiful. It was in the woods with all the autumn colors, and yeah, just like a little river and some mountains and well, not mountain, a lot of hills. Really pretty. And the road on top of it was not that bad. There was something that I thought was really neat. It was like an old factory, like I think it was an old mine. But you can see it was just abandoned. And I really kind of wanted to go inside and check it out, but I really didn't have that much time. So I just took some nice pictures around it and then kept going. But yeah, that path was definitely a beauty. And then, oh right, so yesterday, as always, like I had a lot of dogs barking at me. But there was one story that kind of stuck out. So I was on that forest path, and then in front of me I see an older gentleman with a dog, like a small white dog. So I was like, all right, well, you know, whatever. He'll probably bark at me and just stay with his owner. So I passed them, and the dog goes nuts and yaps and so I keep on going. I'm like, well, the owner is going to call it back, and the owner does call it back, but the dog does not care and just keeps going at me. And I know it's a small dog, but I'm like, he was really close, and I was like, is he going to try to bite me? Like, what's his deal? And so I just kept going and going, and the old man just at some point stopped. Like, he's like, no, I'm not calling my dog anymore. And so for a good 2-3 minutes, which is quite a long time, I had this stupid dog following me and yapping, and you know, it's quite stressful. Especially, yeah, my back wheel is not doing great, and so I couldn't get it repaired. There was nowhere to repair it here, and so I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to get it repaired. But yeah, I was really annoyed by that silly dog. But yeah, at some point he just let go, and I followed. I just kept going. Yeah, I guess I was lucky in a way. So I kept going on my path, and at some point I had to turn and didn't realize it, so I kept going. And it's lucky that I missed that turn, just because I found another license plate. So it was a bit strange that it was folded over, and both of them were there. So I'm like, what happened for someone to like kind of stop in the middle of nowhere, take off their license plates, fold them over, and toss them? But I got a license plate. The only weird thing is that it's a Romanian license plate. It's not a Greek. I would have preferred Greek. But I went to Romania, so, you know, why not? Still very shaky. I don't get it. Yeah, hashtag Kesan. But yeah, I'll tell you more about that I guess tomorrow. What else was there? So that the dog, the plate. Oh yeah, and then it's time for oh right. So I was getting closer and closer to the border. So this was after making the video, and I saw on my map that I had to cross a river at some point. Cool. Like I do that all the time. It's not a big deal. The only problem was that this one does not have a bridge, and so the road just like went down and kept going across, and then went back up. And so I was like, well, you know, it might be like one of those things where like there's not a lot of water, so like they spread it out really thin just so that a car could go in it and be fine. Which I'm not sure is true, because so I looked at it and it seemed quite shallow, so I was like, good. I start cycling in it, and the water just keeps rising and rising and rising, and at some point I'm afraid it's gonna get into my bags, my saddle bags, and so I have to stop. I don't want to do anything silly, so I have to stop. And because I stop, I have to put my foot on the ground, and so my whole foot, like my whole shoe, is just covered in water. Yeah, and then you can't do much with one leg in the water, and so I was like, the heck with it. So I put both my feet in the water. It wasn't too cold, but it was just annoying that like my legs were completely soaked. My feet were completely soaked. And so I was like, well, do I keep going or do I turn back? And I was like, well, I'm already wet. And I look at my map and I have to do like a huge detour. So I was like, no, you know what? I'm gonna try to wade over. And so I grab my bike and like carry it a little bit just so that the saddlebags aren't in the water. And yeah, just wade through the water and make it to the other side. And it's only on the other side. And then I kept going, which I don't think my feet appreciated. My feet were cold yesterday after that. And yeah, when I took my socks off, it was ugh. It was all pruny and gross. So yeah, it's only like 10 minutes after going through the water that I was like, oh, I should have done a video of like crossing the water, because I was already in it. Like I spending 5 minutes more would not have been a big deal. So yeah, that was something. And then yeah, and then it was like a really boring road all the way to the Turkish border. And yeah, the Turkish border was quite something as well. So there was, I want to say, 5 cars in front of me. So I put my bike behind the car, put my parking pedal, I don't know what it's called, the thing, the foot pedal, just so that my bike can stand up on its own. I just sit down on the sidewalk, just because I'm getting tired. Like I'm spent. And like I look at the time and I was like, okay, well I should get to the Airbnb at 7. Like that sounds about right. So I wait at the border, and it takes a good 15 minutes before I cross the border. So I give my passport. Good. They look at it. They're like, yeah. And then I have to show my passport again to the same Greek side. Okay, that's weird. Usually it's just one side each, but well, sorry, one booth each. And then I show it, so again to the Greek side. They look at it. I don't know what they're looking for, but they say yes, and I keep going. And then the sort of the middle part is quite nice. A lot of military presence. A lot of like little booths with military people inside. And yeah, there is a river sort of separating them. So I took a picture of the river because the sun was setting by then, and so it was really kind of pretty. So I take a picture, and then just keep going. And then yeah, the Turkish side. So I get it checked. They're like, yep, stamp it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm done. I put my passport away, like carefully away, and make everything sure is good. Everything's good. Keep going, and then there's another checkpoint at the Turkish border. Like, oh, okay. And then there's the customs, like where they check if you're bringing anything illegal. And yeah, the way they do it for me. So this time they didn't check the front one and ask me for cigarettes, which is what they did in Hungary. But this time they kind of like open your bags. I'm like, okay. So I opened them. You then like Yeah. And then he just like shoved his hand inside, rummaged around, but I don't know how he did that because my saddlebags are quite tightly packed. So he rummaged around, and then he found my cooking pot with has like the gas inside. So I was like, oh, he's gonna give me things for the gas. And he's like, what is this? I'm like, oh, it's for cooking. Like, what? Like, it for cooking? Like, okay. And then he just puts it on top and he's like, okay, you can go. Okay, cool. So that's what I do. I just put it back and go. And then yeah, the Turkey road was not great. It was just a really a big road. It was the kind of road that like has two sides, like one for each way. So yeah, it was a pretty big road, but two lucky things. One is that it was really not busy. Like there was not a lot of people. And two is that they had a really big sort of side. So, I mean, actually, I think I could have fit an extra car between me and the cars, and it would have been fine. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And I think I'm gonna have to take the same road over to the next city, but at least it will be in daylight. Yesterday at night, it was not bad. I had my lights and everything, so I was pretty safe. But I think it would have been nicer had it been daylight. So that was that. And then I look at my phone and I'm like, okay, well, you know, let's see if I'm doing okay on time. And I see it's 7 o'clock. I'm just like, what? Like it's already 7 and I look and I still have like a good hour to go. Maybe a little bit under an hour. I'm like, how is it 7? Like, oh gosh. And so I don't panic, but I'm like, I just need to get, like, I'm tired. And I'm like, it's 7 o'clock. I've been riding for over 12 hours now. Like, I'm done. So I keep on going, and at some point there's a chance for me to leave this really big road. And it looks really good the first, I want to say 100 meters. And at some point it just drops, and there are like puddles everywhere, and it's grass, and it's wet, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Especially like there's no lights on that road. I'm like, no. So I go back on the big road. I'm like, at least it goes faster, and like things are lit, and it should be like better. So keep going on that big road. And then yeah, Kesan is not a pretty city. Like it's very, I don't know, there's a constant smell of something burning and not something nice burning. And yeah, it's very hazy, but I'm guessing it's pollution. But yeah, so I got here, didn't give me the best impression, and then finding the Airbnb was like, and it's the second time this happens, that the map they provide on the Airbnb site is not super accurate. So I was maybe 50 meters away from, 50 to 100 meters away from the actual place. And so I called him and I was like, I'm here, like I'm at this place, and I told him like shops around me. He's like, okay, I'm coming. So he comes and gets me, and it's they call it a pension. Yeah, pension. And so it's really basic. Is basically a bed and a bathroom. I guess 2 beds and a bathroom. Not necessarily clean. Yeah, I would not recommend it, but I'm spending 2 nights here just so I can take a break, and it's warm, and there's no hot water, but I mean that's something else. But yeah, so oh right. And then so yesterday, this morning I wake up and I text Jen, and I don't know how it starts, but I'm like, oh yeah, I woke up at 7 and I can't get back to sleep. And Jen tells me like, okay, but it's not 7, it's 6 o'clock. I'm like, what? And so I look at my phone and it's 7:30. Like, what's going on? And I look at my watch and it's a different time. I had no idea. I thought I looked it up, but I had no idea that Turkey was on a different time zone than Greece. just because last time I switched time was in Macedonia, so I haven't switched time from France all the way to Macedonia, and then North Macedonia, and Greece I switched time, and then Turkey I switched time again. So in like 3 days, no, not 3 days, in like 5 cycling days, I switched time twice. So yeah, it was a bit bizarre, but it makes more sense now why it was 7 o'clock and I still hadn't, I was not where I was supposed to be. It's just because, well, it was an hour earlier. Alright, because I checked the time with my phone, which had switched automatically. So yeah, today I'm going to take a rest today and explore what there is to see, but I think this is the least touristy city I've seen in a long time. Like, I don't think there's anything to do. People are super friendly, so I'll tell you more about that in the video for tonight, just because I don't think there'll be much to say. So I want to keep everything for tonight. But that's about it. Alright, bye!